Hello YouTube, I'm Just Jay, welcome back to Just Jay Gaming. For today's video, I have an 18 kill solo duos win with the most cringe weapon in Warzone right now. I'm talking about the MTZ Interceptor. We do know that very soon the MTZ Interceptor is going to get nerfed, and that cannot come soon enough. I wanted to play a few games with it to see if it really is as bad as I remember it being. And by bad I mean it's just really overpowered, even with the nerf that they did have to it. Just an easy gun to use if you spend the time with it. I'm sure people that play the game know exactly what I'm talking about. You're likely always going to get downed by somebody camping in a roof or a team camping with two of these in a building. I know we have the mid-season update coming up as well, and I'm really excited to see what that brings for us content-wise. I do want to give my overall impressions of Warzone at this point, having played it the first half of this season. And I gotta say, overall, it's a fun experience. Yes, there's bugs. Yes, there's issues. Yes, people complain about the same things year over year. That's with any game. If you go and see any communities, forums, they're complaining about very common things that you see people complain about in Warzone. I do feel like the COD community in general is a bit larger, and so it feels like more of these issues persist through social media more readily. But at the same time, like, I've played Apex, there's been guns that have been broken for almost a full season. I remember when the Nemesis came out and everyone's like, nerf the Nemesis, nerf the Nemesis. They didn't really nerf it as quickly as people would expect them to. There's audio issues in Apex. You know, as far as aim assist goes, I know people make a big deal about aim assist and mouse and keyboard. And look, I'm a dumb controller player, right? Like everyone, that's where people want to see where your allegiances lie. But at the same time, I do feel like the game itself might be a little bit more accessible if aim assist was nerfed a little bit. But it becomes a slippery slope as how much is too much and how much is not enough. I don't think it's a game-breaking decision. I think the fact that you have the option to play both is great. There's games out there like Valorant, like CSGO, where I think there's no argument in those games being made about mouse and keys too overpowered, because that's the way the games are designed to be played, mouse and keyboard for the most part. You can play controller, but you're playing at a disadvantage. And I think controller players accept that in those games. That's why you don't see a lot of controller players playing those games. But I think if people are complaining about aim assist and that kind of thing, that means that the game is in a good spot. I do think pacing wise the game feels inconsistent, especially in the battle royale mode. It's very, I like that the zones close a lot quicker, but which I think makes sense in a way. It rewards players to be in more of the center of the zone sooner, because rotating is very challenging at times, which becomes a skill in of itself, right? Which is fine. But the pacing overall, it still feels a little clunky, and I think one thing that plays into it too is that you have so many retries in Battle Royale where it does feel too close to what Resurgence feels like. And I think having the gulag, having that one extra chance should be enough, but I understand why they're making the decision to have so many redeploy flares, a redeploy pack. Like, I think if there's redeploy flares in the game, don't have a redeploy pack. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. And then it also feels like, in general, it feels like there's items that are clumped together on the map, where if you're finding like a redeploy pack in one area, you're gonna find it in other chests around that area, but then in other parts of the map you find nothing that you need, like a redeploy flare, like a portable radar. Like, there's definitely seems to be inconsistencies in my opinion with loot, but I'm sure that they'll fix that kind of thing. I think overall, if you take the MTZ Interceptor out, a lot of people are still using the poly. I talked about in my other video about my top 5 primary ARs and LMGs to use right now, but there is a bit of variety, I think. But I do think in regards to one-shot snipers, I think they could do a little bit more. I think having the cat is great, and it makes sense to have a heavy gun be able to one-shot at all ranges. I do think if they did something similar for the marksman rifles, where at certain ranges they're headshots, like they did a few years back with the Kar 98 and the Swiss, I think that's a good medium, and I think it allows people to have more playability options in Resurgence, because those maps are a lot smaller. But then you also could bring that to the big map, and you really have to decide, you know, when to fire your sniper rifle if you're going to use a one-shot marksman rifle and that kind of thing. I do think, like, overall, like, I like the challenge events that they have now, where it's like you really just have to grind the game to get a pretty cool skin. I think they're doing a much better job with skins, weapon skins in general. But overall, I'm more excited about the path that Warzone 3 Urzikstan is on versus where Warzone 2 was. I think if I had to rate just Urzikstan Battle Royale compared to Caldera, compared to Al Mazrah, compared to Verdansk, it's probably in a better position than all of them were at the beginning. what they're going to do further on, because I do feel like Al-Mazrah was a decent map. It was probably too large. I think people admit that now. But I think they just didn't decide to make too many map changes that would make it feel fresh every season or every other season. I hope that they do something with Urzikstan, because it definitely is in a good spot. I think overall, I would probably give it the number 1, number 2 spot with Verdansk. But it has a lot more potential, I think, to be one of the better maps. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the mid-season update as well as the future seasons of this game. But yeah, let me know in the comments below your thoughts on Warzone at this point between Battle Royale and Resurgence. I think I want to talk a little bit more about Resurgence at some point, but I'm going to save that for another video. And if you stayed this long, don't forget to like the video. Here is the loadout I ran with the MTZ Interceptor as well as the Wasp 9. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.
Gas is moving in. New safe. Supply crates are restocked. Advise you load up now. Relocating the safe zone. It's down to 10. Win this thing.
Copy. Phoenix 2-3 on approach. Strike inbound.
Gas is inbound, marking a new safe zone.